Hi, my name is Mike Dillard, and this is Self-Made Man, the podcast for men who want to leave their mark on the world and create a legacy of honor, integrity, and achievement in every aspect of their lives. I'm glad you're here, and once again, it is time to forge your destiny. I have known Dean Graziosi for quite a few years now, and he's one of the few guys out there that I really aspire to be more like. And if his name sounds familiar, well, it's because you've probably seen Dean and his real estate courses on television at some point over the past 20 years, as he has been on TV every single day for 20 years. In my opinion, he is the very definition of a self-made man, having come from a broken home and family that moved 20 times in 19 years. And at the age of 20, he discovered real estate and then personal development, and that is when he made the decision to forge his own destiny. Today, his real estate development and publishing companies produce over $200 million per year in revenue, and he's authored 8 different books. Now, as you're going to hear in our interview with Dean today, what sets him apart is the fact that he actually gives a damn. He authentically cares about his customers, his students, his wife, his kids, and that has been at the core of his lifelong success story. But at the end of the day, caring is not enough. To build a business as successful as Dean's, you have to wake up every day and be on point. You have to make the right decisions, and you have to put in the work. And that is what we're going to talk about here today, specifically the daily habits that lead to extraordinary success. Your life is a result of the stories you tell yourself and the actions you take day after day. If you change those, you change your life. So that's what we're going to be talking about with Dean today, the daily habits of millionaires. So please help me welcome Mr. Dean Graziosi. Welcome back, everybody. And today we are joined by an extremely special guest that I've had the privilege of getting to know a little bit over the past few years, but who I've studied and watched for many, many years, Mr. Dean Graziosi. Dean, welcome to Self-Made Man, brother.
Awesome to be here, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited that we finally got you on the show, and we had a chance to hang out a couple of months at Joe's Genius Network. And it was awesome to see what you've been up to recently, both personally on the family side and the business side. And we'll obviously get into that here in a little bit. But, you know, Dean, I don't want to assume that everyone on here knows who you are or what your background is and all of that good stuff. So I think it would be really appropriate if we took maybe 10 minutes or so to share your absolutely amazing story with everybody.
Well, Mike, first of all, and everybody listening, I want to say thanks to you, Mike, and to everybody listening. I'll share my story, but know that it's my desire to get into the capabilities and the confidence and the direction of things that we've discovered. I want to leave everybody with at the end of this saying, "Wow, this guy delivered." But yeah, for sure. Sometimes you need context and of knowing where someone came from, so you can respect what they say, right?
Right.
You know what's really cool, Mike, is I'm sitting in right this very minute. I'm sitting in the house where I grew up most of my childhood. It was my grandmother's house, and my grandmother lost it probably when I was about 14 years old, and I've been waiting for it to go to sale for years. And literally 2 years ago, someone called me and said, "Your grandmother's house is for sale," and I bought it, refurbished the whole thing, and now I'm here with my family to celebrate Thanksgiving. And talk about a walk down memory lane. You know, real quick, just so people know that, you know, when we'll talk about, you know, the success habits and things that have allowed me to kind of break through to that next level and then break through is, you know, as a kid, my parents didn't have much. They were married 10 times each. 10 times between them, 5 times each. We moved all the time. You know, I just wrote this in an article that when I was 12, I moved in with my dad right up the street from where this house is, and we lived literally in a bathroom for a whole year. Plugged in an electric heater at night and slept on this little mattress. In the morning, we'd take turns taking a shower, and you know, so we all have our own history, right? And I wouldn't change any of it, but I remember those thoughts of, you know, my grandma lost her house when I was a little older. My mom worked 3 jobs to make nothing, and my dad struggled. And I remember thinking nobody in my family did. And that was just my lot in life. That's what my family does. That's what I do. Everybody worried about money all the time. And I think it was then that I was lucky enough to have this shift of thinking that, you know, if I keep doing what my family does and I love them dearly, I'm just going to get what they have. And as every entrepreneur, as everybody listening right now, as you too, Mike, we've been told we're crazy, we're nuts. A lot of times you feel lonely as an entrepreneur. Your thoughts are so different, or just someone who wants to start a business or take what you do to another level. You're so different than everybody else. And I remember feeling different but I was lucky enough not to give into it. And I started a firewood business in high school, and I fixed wrecked cars in high school. And then I went and I started a collision repair shop in my early 20s, right in this little town I live in. And then I started building apartments, and then I started buying and fixing houses. Then I started building houses. And then in my late 20s, I decided, I wanted to share this. I went from that and dyslexia and no college to, by the time I was 25, I was a millionaire. And that sounds like an easy road, but I was lucky enough to find a way to focus on what I wanted and not be sucked into what my family had. That was their life, right? And it was then I started noticing that it was shifts in habits. I just did things a little bit differently than everybody else. And that's, we'll share some of those today, some of those little tiny shifts that, the little hinge swings big doors, right? I don't know who said that, but I love that saying. So I went on to write my first book, and, I had a New York Times bestseller about 10 years ago, and just became addicted to wanting to help people succeed, help people do what I did. I taught real estate. I was, the biggest real estate educator in the country. Traveled a lot with my buddy Tony Robbins and shared him on his stage, and just having this obsession now to give people these tools. But I still do business. I own 500 houses. I have probably 13 different companies. I'm obsessive on marketing and getting my message out to the world. So sorry if I kind of digress there a little bit, but you can reel it back in on anything I missed there, Mike.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I just want people to understand, and like you mentioned at the beginning of your story there, who you are and what you've accomplished, because you're one of the guys that I watch and I study, and that I aspire to have that kind of success that you've had. So I couldn't agree more when it comes to the habit pieces, and Tony talks a lot about your life is basically a result or a manifestation of the stories you tell yourself.
Yep.
And your habits are really the physical actions that come from your story. So, why did you choose to focus on this subject, next, as far as, your book goes and your teaching
Great
goes?
Question. Yeah. So, I started with real estate education because that was one of the things that gave me the biggest lift of my life is real estate. I wanted to share that. And during that evolution, what I realized, and everybody on listening right now knows this and feels it, is you can give certain people a business on how to sell $20 bills for $10, and they'll still fail because they have habits that just keep them stuck. They stay in a hypnotic rhythm. They don't realize it. And then there's so many of you on this call that have had massive success, and then all of a sudden you just hit a wall and you're like, well, why can't I break through to that other side? And there's a saying that Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach said that I've used in so many areas of my life. It's the capabilities that get you out of Egypt. They're not the same ones that take you to the promised land. My bookkeeper that was doing my books for me at $200,000 a year in sales isn't the same one I could use when I was doing $100 million in sales. The same bookkeeper that got me out of Egypt can't take me to the promised land. And what I realized in this evolution is the same habits that get you here aren't necessarily the same ones that take you there. And in the obsession of getting more and more real estate students over a 15-year period to be successful, I realized I had the greatest capabilities on real estate. I couldn't make them any better. It was what I was doing. I realized I had to dig deeper in people's thoughts, and I had to give them the tools to overcome get out of their own way so they can use the tactical procedures. So many people listening right now, what to do. You know how to make more money. You know how to push to the next level, but you're still not doing it. So in my quest of digging deep for the last 2 years, I've obsessed on, the habits that allowed me to break through from, 6-figure business, then 7, then 8, then a 9-figure business. And each level, there was a different set of habits I had to break through. And I just felt it was time I shared them. And not only did I take my habits, but Tony Robbins is a dear friend. And from Richard Branson to I've been blessed to meet so many people. I just kind of robbed all these habits. And I thought it was time to share, especially with a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. And especially in America, people are freaking out. And I think it's the greatest time in history to get wealthy and build abundance. So that's why now, Mike.
So let's start with the basic, right? Let's assume that someone's listening to the show right now. They want to start a business for the first time. They've probably been, throwing mud against a wall like I did for a couple of years without results. What would you tell them?
Okay, so I'm going to start a little bit granular, only because I can only I love to share what is going on in my life right now and how I see it affect people, and wish that I had it sooner. So this might be a little on the ground tactical, but I want to share with somebody the first step I believe you need to start or scale a business. And as crazy as it sounds, you have to protect your confidence. You have to protect your state of mind, and you have to protect your health. So if I was going to talk to me in my 20s when I was starting and going 100 miles an hour and not sleeping at night, stressing like crazy, and I thought it was the only way, I was in a success trap. I thought I had to be this angst, 100 mile an hour, get it all done, work faster, quicker. What I would tell that 20-year-old or 30 or 40 or 70-year-old, whatever you're starting your business, is protect your confidence and your health by starting a morning routine. And I would start it tomorrow morning. I have never had anything set my day better. And you're saying, what's that got to do with starting a business? Let me share. If when you get up in the morning, if the first thing you do is check your phone, check email, start the day off on that wrong path, it sets the tone for the entire day. And without confidence, I mean, let me just ask everybody, you look in the mirror and ask, have you ever done anything great without confidence? Have you started a relationship, started that new business, made the sale, wrote good copy, had marketing on fire when your confidence is even 2 or 3% off? So what I've realized, especially at this phase of my life, if you don't protect your confidence, you don't protect your courage, you don't make those steps that you need to make. You don't make those tough decisions. You don't say no when you need to, and you don't say yes when you have to. So here's something I would share with everybody. Tomorrow morning, for the next week, do me a favor and try something. Put your phone on airplane mode before you fall asleep. When you get up in the morning, don't reach for your phone. Don't check your text. Don't check your email. Do something that empowers your mind. If you're Christian, you want to read the Bible. If you want to read, I'm reading for the third time The Untethered Soul. I literally will open up and just read 2 sentences. I'll read it out loud and kind of just do something that empowers your body. Read Millionaires' Success Habits. One paragraph. Think of something positive. Find gratitude. We all know that, but we don't do it. And I've lowered the bar of gratitude, Mike. So instead of, I'm grateful for all this wonderful stuff. 3 mornings ago, I woke up and said, I'm grateful on how amazing these sheets feel on my body. Like just something to get you in that mode. So I nourish my mind real quick. Then I nourish my body. For me, it's just I go down and drink a green drink really quick, a lemon and green drink, and then I move, whether it's exercise or something. And that routine, Mike, when I do it perfectly, it's impossible to suffer that day. It's impossible to get off track. It sets you up to looking through the story that's going to empower you to that next level rather than taking it away. And then, so here's what I'd say is, try airplane mode for the first half hour, 45 minutes when you get up. Something grateful, just one thing. Not trying to change your whole life. 2, nourish your body. Put something in there besides coffee. A green drink. I do fresh oils. I do a squeeze of lemon, and then move, take a walk, go to the gym. When you come back, and here's something that's changed everything for me in the last couple of years. I think about what I get to do that day. As entrepreneurs, as business people, you have things that you don't like and things that you want. Sometimes we're pushing through to try to get to the other side where it's going to be amazing on the other side, right? It's not always amazing on the side. There's another layer of complexity, another job to do, another level. All of it can be amazing because we get to do this stuff. As crazy as that shift sounds, in my first hour, I set up my whole day. Yeah, I know that might be different than what you're thinking, Mike, but that has been transformational for me.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And what I don't think people really understand or realize is what you're really doing is changing your hormone levels. And so if you don't have that state of confidence, it has a huge impact. I can tell you, when I look back at my past, the times when I was happiest and also having the most success, it's when I felt the most confidence. Everywhere I went, I was smiling. I felt like $1 million. And that, it opens doors. Like it creates opportunities when you meet people, shake hands, get on the phone with someone, write a marketing piece. It absolutely is the magic ingredient that makes the difference.
Mike, I had dyslexia in school, and this is surely not poor me, but I was always in that special reading room with no windows and felt stupid and all that. And when I look back on my life, my enthusiasm, my authenticity, and my state where I was always just vibrant and found a way to muster up confidence when I needed it, that got me here. I'd love to say, because when you think of the tactics, it's out there. The ability to learn how to make money. Mike, you are amazing at what you do. I've loved listening to you, especially in the last year, watching your stuff, listening to your stuff, man. It's really been awesome. Those tactical skills are with you and other people out there. But if you don't have the confidence and the courage to even start, then it doesn't matter. I could give you the ABC of marketing, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But if it doesn't start with you pushing through and taking those educated risks, then you just stand on the sidelines watching the game rather than playing in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So totally agreed there. Okay. And so we've got our morning routine figured out. We've got our body figured out. We're feeling good. Now what?
Okay. So this is something you guys have all heard a million times and it's worth repeating, but get a crystal clear, clear vision on where you want to go. Again, you're saying, oh, wow, this is revolutionary, Dean, wonderful. No, but I have to do this every month of my life, because if you don't know exactly what it is you want for your business, your company, your future, your family, you just are in the ditch digging as fast as you can and not looking up. And sometimes you're digging in the wrong direction. And for me, this is a silly story, but it sounds like a Tony Robbins story, but this is one that I was just told in the last year, and it makes so much sense. A buddy of mine with this church group, he takes his son and all these kids on 20 kids, whitewater rafting. And they get there, and I don't whitewater raft. Maybe you have, Mike. I haven't, but I guess they range it on a 1 to 5. And these rapids were a 5. It had rained like crazy. He was all nervous. Got all these kids he's responsible for. And this guy gets in the boat. He said he's confident as hell. And he just says to all the kids, listen, see this finger? He holds up one finger and he said, this is the positive point. This is all you need to know for us to not get hurt today, not flip over. Nobody's going to drown on my watch. And this positive point means I'm going to keep pointing exactly where I want the boat to go. When I point, you paddle your guts out and you get to where I want. I'm never going to point to the down tree. I'm never going to point to the rock that could flip us over, because if I do, you'll look at it and we'll run right into it. And that's really what you have to make sure you protect. Because what we do as entrepreneurs, and when the economy changes and our friends tell us are nuts, and the news tells us we're crazy, or things are shifting, or this new president is going to ruin our country, whatever you're thinking, we all have our own thoughts. As soon as we take our eye off of the vision and clarity where we want to go, we run into what we don't want. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling too much complexity in your life, or too many emails coming in, or you're feeling you can't handle some of it, it just means you are not crystal clear enough on what you want. Because when you know what you want, when you get to say no. So I'm digressing a little bit. I have 2 things I want to say. When your vision is clear, it's the yes got you where you are. You are the busiest person other people know, or you wouldn't be listening to this. You're an entrepreneur, you're a business person, you're ready to start your new business, or you want to thrive your new business. That means you're busy as heck. You've said yes more than most people to get here. What's going to take you to the next level is start saying no. And how do you say no? A crystal clear vision of where you want to go. And for me, Dan Sullivan broke it for me. I just gave it to me 8 years ago, and it changed everything. Looking from where I am to where I want to go has always been tough for me. There's like a cloud around me. I'm going so fast. I'm blowing up dust that I can't see. So Dan Sullivan's question is, pretend it's a year from now. It is the best year of your life. Let's just pick finances or your business. It's a year from now. You're sitting down with your wife, your husband, your best friend. You pop open a $200 bottle of wine because, man, stuff is kicking ass. And you look backwards, what does that year look like? What had to happen for your year to look great? And just start writing it down. Best year of your life. I'm making $100,000. I'm taking in $100,000 a month, or I'm making $100,000 a year. I'm confident. I'm courageous. I feel confident around my wife, my husband, or vice versa, right? Or this is the way I treat my kids. I'm totally engaged with my kids. I'm not looking at my phone while they're talking to me. I'm on their level and I'm looking them in their eyes. I don't know what your best year is, but when you write that down and start circling them, and all of a sudden you see a pattern of what your vision is and where you want to go, everything else that doesn't fit into your vision, doesn't drive you to where you want to go, has to be a no. So when someone says they need a time management program, I say, no, you need a clarity fix. You need to get crystal clear on your vision, and you'll know exactly what to say no to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sitting here wondering, one of the biggest challenges that people have when it comes to this particular part of personal development is that it all makes sense. This is all very clear, common sense type of stuff, and yet it can be incredibly difficult to find the discipline to create the habit.
Totally agree. And I got something for that, but I'll let you finish the question. Sorry.
No, that was it. So
okay, yeah.
I'm wondering if you have a magic bullet of some kind, right?
Because I want everybody to know that I am good at sharing this. I'm good at creating recipes to knock out habits that aren't serving you, how to recognize the habits that aren't serving you, and replacing them with new ones. The only reason I know how to do this so well is because I've gone through all the hell of a $100,000 a year business, $1 million business at 20, a 50, 100, and broke $200 million in a year with my brand. I've been at every level, and I know the complexity. I know the thought process. I know when your thoughts can overtake you, and you think you know what you want, but you end up doing the wrong thing. So here's what I would ask everybody to do. And I literally do this on a monthly or quarterly basis. So I'm not asking you to do something that I would never do myself. Right now, there's things that you're doing that served your past but won't serve you for your future. So with that, as simple as this sounds, you need to make a not to do list. And what I do is I literally write down the things I'm good at. What's my unique ability? What do I thrive at? What is good? And I write that down. And then I write down what would make me the biggest check, right? And I write down what I'm great at, what makes me the most money, and what makes me feel good doing it. Not that money is everything, but when you get money out of the way, it's a lot easier to be your best self. I coach Little League, coach softball, I work out, I have a personal coach. It's a lot easier to find a next level you when you get money out of the way. So I write down what I'm great at, what's going to make me the most money. And then I think through also attaching what makes me feel the best, fulfilled the most. But then I spend a week, and I use a yellow pad. You could use a journal. You could use your phone. And I start writing down the things that I do on a daily basis. And then after a week, I literally look and I go through and go, oh my God, I can't believe I still do that. It doesn't serve my future. It doesn't serve my purpose. It has to go on my not to do list. And then when something goes on your not to do list, then you just think of it this way. Do I just delete it out of my life? Do I delegate it? Do I outsource it? Or do I automate it? So think about that. Is it deleted? Is it delegated? Is it outsourced? Or is it automated? And you'll find, because listen, there is no extra time for us. Nobody here listening has an extra 4 hours you don't know what to do with. So every year of my life, I got to keep chipping away at ways that I could be more efficient, working my unique ability so I can get people to do those things I'm not good at. And literally on a monthly, at least a quarterly basis, I spend a week and I just jot down all the things I'm doing. I go back and analyze and I bump them up against the things that make me feel good, make me great money, and can flourish my business, and everything else, it's got to go. And that's served me well.
Yeah, I love it. It's bringing, out the unconscious stories and things that you tell yourself into a conscious level on paper so that you can identify them and then do something about it.
Yeah,
which
sure.
is awesome.
Tony said this a million times, so I'm not trying. But if you look, most of the time between you and where you want to go there's the only thing between you and where you want to go is the story that you tell yourself, right?
Yep.
And what these little exercises do, it creates new habits and new thought patterns. So that happens by itself, because just telling somebody, and Tony doesn't just tell, he's a master, but when you just tell somebody, hey, your story's holding you back, a lot of people are like, screw you, you don't know what's going on in my life. So this is kind of a sneaky way to chip away at that story without you even realizing it. You're kind of tricking your subconscious and your thoughts to just say, oh yeah, I shouldn't be doing that anymore. And all of a sudden that story starts to dissipate.
Let's assume now that you've built your first business. It's doing, a couple $100,000 to $1 million a year.
Yep.
You're kind of got the solo entrepreneur thing going on.
Yep.
And one of the biggest challenges that I went through at that time was changing my habits when it came to money.
Yep.
So do you have any that you've discovered or bad habits that you've had to curtail for you when it came to money now that you were making it?
As far as keeping it, spending it?
Sure, all the above. In anything that you feel would be valuable to share.
Yeah, so I would say, first of all, and everybody's told you this, but as you start making money, and I want to talk about marketing here in a minute, Mike. I'd be doing everybody listening a disservice if I didn't share what I think is the 3 biggest breakthroughs from marketing that changed my world, that broke me right through, right to 9 figures fast. But first with money is put cash aside. Everybody listening, take a certain percent of the money you make. You're making $100,000 a year, $1 million a year, whatever you're bringing in, and put money away like it's a bill that's overdue, like the tax man is going to come and kick you and your family out of your house. Because let me tell you, putting money away and having whatever, it's 10 grand, 100 grand, $1 million, 5 million, 20 million bucks, whatever level you're at. When you have money stashed away, it does something. I'm not telling you to stash it away for the money for your business. It gives you a sense of courage and confidence as the money builds that you don't chase the wrong money. You don't make decisions based on next month I got to cover the bills. I have so many friends, literally people I know that have 15,000 square foot houses, 2 Rolls Royces, look like they're rolling, and they're 2 months away from going. If they had 2 months without income, they'd be screwed. So their decisions have to be based on the money coming in, based on, I know some amazing entrepreneurs, including myself, where we stashed cash away. And if I want to make a shift in what I do, if I have a bad month, if could try for that next level of my business, I know that if I didn't bring in income for 6 months, a year, 2 years, everything's fine. So as crazy as that sounds, as simple as it sounds, put money away. It gives you a sense of courage, gives you a sense of confidence, and you make smart decisions. You don't partner with somebody with money just because you need it. You don't take on that partner that doesn't really fit your personality, don't have the same goals, don't have the same core values. You love being a family man, he loves partying, but you're going to take him on just because. I don't know what it is, but I know when there's not enough money to build security, we all make dumb decisions. I've done it. I've done it so many times. It was painful until I finally did it, Mike. And I know in my space, in this world, there's a lot of people that look like players, a lot of people on Facebook and because, marketing and look like they're rolling in big houses. Shut off their income for 3 weeks and watch them squirm and see if they, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So as simple as that sounds, stash cash.
Perfect. Makes sense. Good words of wisdom. Definitely something to be heard and executed on for sure. And I know, and I relate to that personally. And I'll never forget when we were, getting our start 7-8 years ago. We've got our first office, our first staff, and now I've got 10 mouths to feed. And holy smokes, we're going to be out of cash. We've got to create and launch a product now. Mm-hmm. That's just not where you want to find yourself.
And here's the thing: everybody listening is going to be in that place. And sometimes you have to be. That develops grit. If you don't have the grit to get through those tough times, you'll never get to the other side. Who makes it to the top? Those that can, what's that silly saying, but the smoothest stone is in the roughest part of the stream, right? Those failures, those worries, Mike, when you're like, guys, this launch has to work. That's when you wrote your best copy, did your best videos, made it happen because you had to, and you built that grit muscle that allows you to go to that next level. So all of that's needed. What I just want to do is share the things that took me a little bit too long to figure out. And I would have done a lot of these things a lot sooner if someone would have just said, hey, here's a habit that rocked for me, Well,
let's dive into that. Let's dive into the marketing pieces that you were going to share.
Okay, cool. So I wrote down some stuff to serve you guys, and I think this is great. So first off, I just called it, you have to have marketing stamina. And what I mean by that is, doesn't matter where your business is, marketing is the oxygen that feeds it. If someone came across right now and put their hand on your throat and squeezed it, the only thing you would think about is oxygen. And oxygen feeds our body. Marketing feeds our business. And the first thing I want to do is, so let's start with marketing stamina. I'm going to talk about working backwards, a new way of thinking. See, I've watched this happen so many times, Mike, with friends and people in the business and startups. We get so obsessed on our product and service, which we should. Marketing becomes exponentially easier when you love what you provide so much that you feel you're doing a disservice for people if you don't get their credit card. If you're not getting their credit card, someone else is, or they're not doing anything and you're leaving them on this stuck and you could unstick them, right? So first of all, let's just take that off the plate. I'm just going to assume every single person listening has a product or service that is so damn good you want your family, friends, and everybody in the world to use it. So with that being said, you have to have a new mindset. So many people create the product, create the service, spend the time, spend the energy, build it. And then when it's all done, they go, all right, let's figure out how to market it. That kind of thinking kills companies. That I've seen so many people come to me. I mean, I'm in a phase of my life where I get hit up literally for private money and investing on a weekly basis. And so many of these companies, they raised $5 million, Mike. Sometimes they raised $20 million. They built this amazing platform. They're out of money and they come to me and say, will you help me market this? Will you help me get this? I did the hard part. I built the company. Now I need to market. It's like, no, you didn't do the hard part. The hard part is getting people to say yes for your product. So what I just took a note right before we went on here, and it's working backwards. Have a new way of thinking in your own mind and in your company that as you're building the product, right alongside it, you have to think, is this marketable? We build things sometimes because we think people need this. People need this so bad. A lot of people need to lose weight. A lot of people need to get to the gym. A lot of people need to do yoga, stop stressing, meditating, but they don't do it because they don't want to. And I've watched so many people need this companies and go freaking bankrupt because they weren't thinking about what people want and how they feel or their experience going through the product. So I'd suggest to everybody, no matter what you have, as you build it, as you think through the new course, the new program, the new book, the new service that you're providing, alongside of it has to be the marketing of how people feel. Or I'll give you an example. My best-selling book before Millionaire Success Habits, I think that'll be my best one ever. But I sold 1 million copies of Be a Real Estate Millionaire. I want to tell you something, Mike, and not many people know this. I created the cover of that book. I knew what I wanted to write. I wrote all the bullets. I knew what each chapter was going to be. I put the cover on someone else's book, and I filmed an infomercial before the book was done. And I went on the air. And I pitched it like it was done. I pitched it with my heart because I knew it was going to be in it. And the book destroyed it. The infomercial is one of the best infomercials that ever hit the air. So I think the infomercial, between sales and everything, did over $100 million. Sold 1 million copies of the book. But I want to tell you something. When people called, I simply had the operator say, hey, wanted to let you know you're part of a test. The book isn't done yet. And when the book is done, we're going to send you a free copy for being a part of the book. But I got to see how many calls came in, and it was ridiculous. Mike, I went back. I wrote that book 100 miles an hour with heart and with passion, and it was an amazing book. Like I said, sold 1 million copies. But now that's a little extreme. I'm just trying to make a point here. So many people will write a book because that's what they think people need, and they get done and go, okay, how do I sell it? And I'm going to urge everybody to change the way you're thinking. Start thinking backwards. How does this marketing work? And then how do I fulfill based on what people want? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, one of the core things I think everybody needs to utilize quite often in their business is simply ask your audience how you can serve them the best. And I never really assumed that I know what the answer to that is. So I ask them about that. And it's interesting from a marketing perspective, a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs in this space are always very concerned about traffic. I have this, great book or whatever, and if only people would buy it or read it, and I just need to get this traffic thing figured out. And what they don't understand is the traffic is irrelevant. It's really about conversion. If you focus on sales and marketing and you create a pitch that converts like your infomercial, then traffic takes care of itself. It's a non-issue. And, you took it to the ultimate level, which is the most competitive, the most difficult, and also one of the most rewarding, which is in the infomercial space. And you're one of 2, 3 people I know over the last 10 years that have been able to do that successfully. So, and you give us your feedback on this, but I'll just tell the audience, the reason I believe that you've had the success that you've had is, one, you do care about your product in a major, major way, but most importantly, you're unbelievably authentic. And I don't know if a lot of people have seen your infomercials, but they're completely unscripted. You know, you get in front of the camera and you speak from your heart, and that authenticity comes through. And I think that's been a huge key to your success.
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate you saying that. And I want to share with everybody is when my infomercials truly changed, you hit the nail on the head, is I loved what I provided so much that I just spoke from the heart. My English, honestly, I don't have a great vocabulary. Sometimes I get tongue-tied because I can't articulate. I didn't go past high school. I didn't read in high school. So I speak from my heart, and I'll just share something with everybody because, Mike, you brought this up, and thank you for saying that again. But authenticity, transparency, and enthusiasm will far outweigh any tactical, perfect speech, perfect on-stage presentation, perfect video pitch. People want to, the greatest gift I've ever been shared, and I've been saying it all the time, people buy from it. And everybody should write this down right now. This is one of the biggest secrets to I know my success. I didn't have the words for it. I did this before someone told me this phrase. But now this sums it up. People buy from you, love you, adore you, will listen to you and learn from you if they feel understood, not just when they understand you. So what happens, Mike, so many people obsess on traffic and then they do a pitch or write copy about understand me. I'm the best at what I do. I'm good. I can teach you. I have these products and services. And they're like, we need more traffic. No, you need more authenticity. You need more energy. You need more transparency. So remember that people will buy from you when they feel understood a lot quicker than they will when they understand you.
So what's another habit you could share with us?
Okay. Obsession in your company on marketing. You have to create a culture. So I'll see so many people when they have 1 or 2 employees and they're ramping up and they hire the CFO or they hire someone to help with bookkeeping and then they hire a tech guy or they're outsourcing their tech. And what happens is if your business isn't obsessed, if marketing isn't the oxygen that breathes your company when you start, what will happen is you'll have IT guys telling you, oh, that can't work. You'll have your accountant telling you how much money you should spend on your AdWords rather than you focusing on marketing. So as you start and grow your company, and I had to make these shifts, the reason I'm so apparent of it, I've had IT guys stop a campaign because they said it couldn't be done when it could be, or they didn't think it would work that way, or they changed something because they thought it would be better. I have no idea. I couldn't program anything. I barely get email. But when I know marketing and I'm passionate about it, and don't outsource your marketing. Your passion comes from you. You started this company. You want to expand this company. You have a vision. You know from your heart you can help people. Don't just think someone else is going to write better copy literally don't outsource your copy. but don't let anybody sway you from your heart of what you think, especially if you ask your audience and you know what people want, right? Not what they need. So start creating a culture that your whole company knows it's marketing first and we figure out everything else around it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think has been, the critical piece to your success from a scale perspective, right? Because I've built a 7-figure business and now 2 8-figure businesses, but I have yet to crack that $100 million, with your business, because you've got to have a team in place at that point, and that really comes to scale. And I have such a hard time letting, I can do what you just mentioned, right? Be the voice, be the author, be the salesperson. But I've had a challenge putting together the rest of the pieces outside of that.
Yeah. So I want to tell you, Mike, if I did it on my own, I never would have got there. Have you? And I just read this recently. Have you ever read Rocket Fuel?
Yes.
Yeah. So love the book. I just read it recently, but I realized that's what I was fortunate enough to do. Is I love marketing. I love creating products that give people results. I love taking complicated pieces like habits and boiling it down to recipes. Anybody can follow a recipe, right? And I love to do the fulfillment, but I didn't love all the stuff in the middle. And if I look back in my last 15 years of business, I was really, really good at picking great partners and people, not necessarily sometimes partner like own half my business, but I'd align with people that were the implementers on a massive scale. They knew how to scale. They knew how to ramp. My unique ability is I can get people to say yes into a product that can serve them and take them to a higher level. I can get them to raise their hand. I can get them to go to a live event, to get a book. And I do that knowing I'm delivering something good. When I was running my own company and doing it all myself, when I flopped over into operator and trying to oversee that, I'd get sucked into the details, overwhelmed, and I'd be stuck. When I see my exponential growth is when I found someone that wasn't good at what I did, but they were good at scaling and ramping on a level that I could never be. And then I got to feed oxygen. They started the fire and I brought the gas to the fire party. And that's really what took me to another level.
What habits have you guys implemented at your company with your team?
With my team,
okay. whether it's like a weekly meeting or,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a couple of them, especially scaling when there's 600 people on my brand, servicing, and especially when my real estate brand was at its height, there was 600-700 people. So here's what I did. Of course, Monday morning meetings, everybody has their weekly kind of agendas, but here's the big game changer is I did, this is 9 years now, every single week. And Mike, I would suggest you do this starting tomorrow if you don't do it already. Every single week, I do a video, and everybody who works for me, with me on the team, even delivering the books at the warehouse, has to watch the video I do once a week. And what that did is I have a vision for my company. I have a passion for my students. And I got to every single week share with them who I was, what my values are, what the clients meant to us, what the employees and people who work on the team meant to us. I'd share stories. I'd share testimonials. I'd call out an employee who works in all different departments. And I changed terminology. Like in my business, Mike, let me just be honest. In the infomercial business, it was about how many leads can you produce? How much money can you squeeze out of the leads? And then don't call them again because you'll kick a sleeping dog. When I first went in this business, that's how it was explained to me. And I'm like, yuck, disgusting. And I just kept obsessing. I created social communities, opened it up for people to talk. And what I did, even in these videos, Mike, I used to say, if anybody, like a swear jar, you call someone a lead, they're not a lead. They're a mom, a dad, a cousin, a brother, an aunt, or an uncle. They're a human being who's striving for more, and we're here to help them. And if I was going to give somebody a pat on the back for sales, I wouldn't say, hey, Bob did the most sales this week. Let's give him a bonus. I'd say, hey, Bob got the most people engaged in a future that can change their life. And I'm really proud of you, Bob. And all of a sudden, when I first started these, Mike, I remember people saying, "What is this really who Dean is?" And the more I said it, let me just tell you, the more I said it, I got more clear. I got more passionate about my students, about my employees. And week after week, and all of a sudden, my students became family to me, and the team and the employees who talked to them or worked with them realized we had this precious commodity of people. We were so blessed to have all these people want to learn from us. Let's all handle them with kid gloves. And all of a sudden, the reciprocity. I built relationship managers that people spent thousands of dollars with my company. They got assigned a relationship manager they could call at any time, and we just kept building this touch points, this relationship, not only internally, but since it was our culture, everybody who worked with our company felt it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The power of actually giving a damn.
Yeah, the power of giving a damn. Yeah, that's a great one.
Well, it's just, it's so rare these days, and it just goes to show you that that's what happens when you do, and that's why I love you. So,
well, I appreciate that.
And that's awesome, man. So, what else did we need to cover today?
Okay, two more things. I'm just going to finish this up quick. Remember, with marketing, and I know everybody knows this, and it's going to sound so simple, but marketing isn't about the marketing campaign works or it doesn't. It's like Joe Polish always says this, and I love it. He says, planes fly. Marketing works. Direct mail works. I send out direct mail every week. TV works. I do TV every single week. Online works. Facebook works. It works. It's like saying planes don't fly. No, they already figured out you just have the wrong message or wrong delivery system. So I always remember when a campaign doesn't work, I say, planes fly. Marketing works. I just have the wrong message. So if you remember that, that gives you marketing stamina to go forward. And then remember this. I'll talk to somebody who's been in business and they're doing a couple million a year. And I'll say, oh, how'd your campaign go? Oh, the campaign died. I said, what was it? Do you think it was the engagement, the marketing, or do you think it was the sales and the pitch? What do you think it was? Like, nah, just the campaign didn't work. And remember, the complexity comes out of marketing. Simplest thing, everybody knows it, but remember it, is if you break it into each segment at a time. You look at that campaign and go, as simple as this sounds, but did the subject line get people to open? Did the email get them to engage? Did the opt-in intrigue them? Did they show up for whatever it is you're going to do? Did they buy? Did they stick? Did they love what you do? And you break it up into these little pieces. And when you say a campaign didn't work, target the weakest piece and fix that. And then try it again, and then target the next weakest piece, and then fix that. And all of a sudden, without realizing, you fix the holes in the dam, and you go, oh, wow, my marketing works, or the campaign works. So planes fly, stamina, one piece at a time.
Awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they're just starting out, will put together their first sales presentation or write their first letter, and it doesn't work, and they're like, this doesn't work. I knew it, right?
Yeah, planes don't fly. Exactly.
Right.
Planes don't fly.
So let's change the dynamic of the question here from business to family. Are there any habits in the book where you bring that up? Because that's the other half of the puzzle here that often gets ignored.
Yeah. So just so you know, if in the whole book I write, because success without, or money without happiness, money without family, money without connection is pointless. So I titled it Millionaire Success Habits. It really should be life success habits. And I love talking about the family hacks and family things that I do. So let me give you a couple of things. One, everybody should read the book. If you have kids that are just born, thinking about having kids, or they're 20 years old, there's a book called How Do You Talk to Your Kids So They Listen, and How to Listen to Your Kids So They Talk. My parents really were married 5 times each. I moved 20 times by the time I was 19. My parents are amazing, but I didn't have any good reference point to be a dad. So I've been obsessed. I read a book a month on being a good parent. Out of all the books I've read, nothing is as good as that one. So everybody read that book. But, little things that I've done. I've obsessed on having a relationship with my kids so they could trust me. So what do? I do a date each month with each one of them individually. And on that date, my daughter's 10 yesterday. My son's going to be 8 next week. On that date, I've just created this safeness where not only we communicate, but I tell them, you can tell me anything while we're on that date and you're never going to get in trouble. And that has opened up this date where when we go, my daughter just opens up what's going on in school and what girl was kind of mean to her. And I can see, and what I hope is as they go into teen years, they have that safe zone. So a date every month. Every Sunday, we do a family meeting. Just like you guys would have a meeting at work, how you treat your business, I just brought it home. We sit down, we literally take notes, we make it casual and cool. We get tea for the whole family, honey for the kids, we get a couple things that they like, snacks, and we sit around the table and we have this little spot in our living room where it's our family meetings, and we just talk about what their week was like, what was good, what was tough, what, my daughter's getting friends that are kind of separating now. They're 10-year-old girls, they're starting, I can't believe it, where, they have little groups. And we'll talk about it. How did Larson or this one make you feel? And what do you think that solution was? And what we're trying to do is the difference of teaching our kids how to think rather than sometimes school teach them what to think. And those Sunday meetings, we set goals, all the things that we learn with personal development, I do. And I'm watching it come to life, guys. I mean, literally, I'm not trying to force down their throat. I'm trying to get them to just adapt certain principles that took me till I was 40 to figure out in some cases. So the monthly dates help so much. The weekly meetings, off the charts. And then lastly is, as entrepreneurs, as people who move fast, as people who get things done, you are the people who make this country, this world so amazing is because we are value creators. We solve problems for a living. Let me just say that again. Everybody listening to me right now, this isn't a group of people who work for IBM. Everybody listening to me right now solves problems for a living. And what we'll do is we will solve our kids' problems so fast because we can, and then they get to move on. And guess what we do? We rob them of the experience of solving it themselves. I have to fight myself on a regular basis. Something goes wrong in school. My daughter comes home. I want to say, oh, she probably, I want to give the solution rather than just saying, I'm sure you're really sad about that. What do you think you should do? And shut your mouth. That's what I tell myself. Shut your mouth. And all of a sudden, and then I'll say, if you had to know, what would you do? If you had to know, what would you do? And all of a sudden, I watch these 7 and 9-year-olds figure out a solution. And for years, I would just give it to them because that's what we do. So those 3 things, I could go on forever. I love being a dad more than anything in the history of the world. I coach Little League. I coach softball. And, everything I can possibly do, every dance recital, I do it all. But those little things have made a massive swing, and I see that in my kids. And don't let the iPad be the babysitter. That's the last bit of advice I'll give.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. It's I've got a 6-year-old, so I'm trying to figure.
Oh, dude, you're in prime time. You're heading for prime time.
Yeah,
it is so good.
Yeah, and it's tough, right? Like I'll pick him up from school and bring him home, and I'm like, "What'd you learn today, buddy?" And he's like, "Nothing." And I'm like, "Shit."
Okay, so in this book, Mike, you got to read this book. So here's the thing: how many times for the rest of your life you'll say, "How was school today?" And what are your kids going to say?
Nothing.
It's good.
Right.
It's good. What'd you like the most about school today? Nothing. Can't remember. This book says don't ask stupid questions. When you see your son, do this tomorrow for me. Or the next time you pick him up from school, when he gets in the car, just say to him, what's your son's name?
Chase.
Or is it Chase?
Mm-hmm.
Say, Chase, it's really good to see you, bud. And say nothing else.
Cool.
And watch him freaking talk. It is so ridiculously simple. When I see my kids, and I'm like, hey, it's really good to see you. And they'll just start opening up. But if I say, hey, how was school today? It does something to just shut them down. And that book, I'm telling you, that book gives you all these little hacks. And when I do it, they work. And when I forget, I mess up.
All right. So we've got 2 books we've got to get now because the second one has to be Millionaire Success Habits, which
absolutely
I got a sneak preview of, so I can't wait to get it. But where can people go to pick up a copy?
Okay, so we set up a link for everybody listening at MikeMSH.com. That's your name, Mike. Mike MSH is MillionaireSuccessHabits.com. And I'm doing something pretty special. I bought 10,000 hardcover copies. Bought them. They're in the warehouse. I'm giving the book away for free. Of course, you got to cover shipping and handling. But what I want is I want people to take it, read it, and start the momentum. My buddy Tony Robbins pushed it out. My buddy Trent Shelton's pushing it. I got a bunch of people pushing this to get the momentum because I know this book. I literally believe it's going to be the greatest thing I've ever created in my life, and I know the momentum will carry. So I'll ask you guys. I bought the hardcover. I'll give it to you, MikeMSH.com. But do me a favor. Actually read it and actually apply it. This is not it's not passive reading. This is action steps. These are directions. These are recipes. And then tell friends and family and help me get this momentum out there. It's a mission and a passion for me at this phase of my life, and people need this book.
Well, this has been awesome, Dean. Thank you so much for all of the work that you've done and for being the role model that you've been, definitely to me over the past few years. And man, thanks for coming onto the show today. This has been awesome.
It's been awesome for me, Mike. Thanks. And everybody listening, go for it, man. The next level is there for the taking.
Awesome, guys. Well, go to MikeMSH.com, get a free copy of the book. I can't wait to get mine. So, Dean, thanks once again, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Take care, guys.